Animal Care and Control, Director Gregory Wilkins will be giving this report.
Good morning.
This presentation, not report. I keep saying that because this is for accomplishments and goals. So.
Good morning, everyone. Greg Wilkins with Animal Care and Control. I think before we start going into the list of accomplishments, obviously, thank you guys for letting me come and do a presentation. But for the former and current supervisors and admin staff, thank you, because we did go through a transition with our department of leadership, and so we leaned on you guys heavily, and we'll continue to do so. But I want to start off by saying thank you, because we wouldn't be able to have any accomplishments without having you guys to kind of lean on during that time. So that's my brown nosy moment. But also, all right. So kind of some of the major things we kind of did through the course of the year being the vaccine and microchip clinics. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the metrics, but that was something that we really wanted to focus on in 2024 and was able to do so. Let's see. Also, a good accomplishment was the adoption event in June of 2024, where we were able to do 20 adoptions, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in terms of what we do normally throughout the course of a month and a year, that is a high number. And we also were reimbursed for each adoption, we were able to be reimbursed, so able to get some money back for those. So that was a high accomplishment. And just like with everyone else, we have some staffing challenges. We have 4 total officers to secure the whole county, and we are at a point where we have 3 or 4 hires going on. The 3 of the 4 have all been here within the last 6 months or so. So they require a lot of support and policy development so that we can put them in the best position going forward to present themselves within our county. We also have our staff analyst, who's been a godsend to me personally, as we try to get some things in-house in order so that we can better perform. We were able to send a offer letter to our registered vet tech, not the vet that everyone wants, but it's a step in the right direction. Let's see, and the biggest thing was the UC Davis grant and how that works to the community's overall benefit is that we're able to assist with getting animals spay neutered. No, we don't have the vets necessarily do so, but it allows us to kind of collaborate with some of our neighboring partners like SPCA, like Clear Lake Animal Association, Dogwood Animal Clinic, to kind of get some, where they may have a vet to be able to do the work, we can provide some of the funding. And the framework within our MOUs assures that we are able to account for animals within Lake County. So. I would say we have a portion of that grant funding coming out this weekend, where SPCA and Clear Lake Animal Association will be doing over 100 spay neuters. And depending on how well that goes, which I have no doubt it'll go well, there's a likelihood that we'll be doing more. There's also, you'll be able to see probably in the coming weeks, month or so, you'll see some things that are directly related to community cats. So again, we might not have the veterinarian to do the work, but this grant allows us to at least tackle a hurdle for some people in our community, which is the funding. If we go to the next slide, kind of going back on the fact that the majority of our staff is very, very new. And so while these things aren't bright and shiny, updating policies and procedures and staff training is huge, so that we can kind of build that culture of support for our team. Hopefully, in the grand scheme of things, that helps with how we present in the community, that helps with how we respond to calls in the community, that helps with how we assist in the community, as far as a point of emphasis. The major thing is still the veterinarian. We're working hard on that as far as how we are promoting that, the relationships we're building within the community, within California, within national organizations. I'm working day to day. That is always at the top of my list, as I know that is a resource that not only California and Lake County needs, but it's a national thing. So what I kind of want not that it matters, but I want the community to understand is that it's not just like there's a ton of resources within California and Lake County and we're just the only one that's not getting it. it's something that's national. So it requires a lot of relationship building and brown nosing and things like that, which all the things I'm not above doing to make sure we get what we need. But it's also, as far as a point of emphasis, we want to open up our shelter to the community, whether it be through fostering, through adoption, through volunteering. So I want to be able to, next year, bring back some metric numbers that shows the amount of people within the community that want to help and assist. I want to make sure we provide an avenue and a way for them to do so. And also, just with the county website improvement, again, I want that to be an avenue for communication. I want there to be some self-serve access to it. I want there to be, I'm breaking my notes here. I want there to be a tool of transparency for the community. So throughout the course of the next 2 to 3 years, I want to see that it was not something that's going to happen overnight, but over the course of time, we slowly build that website so that all the information that the community needs to, one, assist themselves, but also to get in contact with us or figure out what we're doing, what our guidelines are, all that stuff is there for them. So that's kind of our points of emphasis for 2025. And some of our data metrics, I realized when putting this together that I didn't include the previous year's data. So it's not as beneficial as I would like for it to be, but you can kind of see we took in over 14,000 animals last year through the course of adoption, return to owner, and other live outcomes. We had a good success, but we also did a lot of euthanasia. And that is, unfortunately, with the lack of vet, with us being more in the community and holding the community more accountable for the animals that are in the community, we have to take in more. And so hopefully through those program buildings and figuring out ways to get more positive outcomes, we can lessen the amount of euthanasia, but that is a reality that we deal with. The more animals that we take in, if we don't find placement for them quickly, that is unfortunately a possible outcome. Our length of stay numbers are pretty good for the overall recommended for cats. Our numbers for dogs are still a little high. I think we can come down on that maybe 2 or 3 days, but that's just kind of based on, again, getting access to care and being able to open up avenues for adoption, foster, and things like that. Let's see. Those vaccine clinics, we did over 12. I didn't give an exact number because we're starting to figure out a way to let our software work for us. So there's a lot of things that were being written on paper and things like that. So that's the amount that I can actually see and account for that we actually did. We possibly did more vaccine clinics, but I know for sure we did 12. And community adoption events, again, that's the number I could account for, 6. But that's something we also want to put a part of our matrix, is being more in the community, doing more than 6 adoption events when possible, but just being in the community overall with our animal control officers and things like that, just having more of a community presence. Sorry about that. I want to be able to report out next year the total number from that grant. How many animals were and families were impacted, exactly what zip codes and what areas and what districts they were impacted from. That's all part of the requirement when we get into these relationships of working with these organizations and we give out that grant funding. All that information is required to be reported back to us. And so that in 2026, when I'm sitting here again, I can give you those exact numbers. I want to still improve on our length of stay. Again, that's just through the overall building the foundation and framework so that we can get animals in and out quicker. And again, things we talked about with the active volunteers and fostering. We don't currently count our case numbers properly, but as we, again, build our programs and figure out how our software works for us, that's something that I think that is important for the community to know, just about how many calls we get per day, per year, per the amount of officers we have, which kind of can explain the response time and things like that. I think that's it. And I'm sorry for the heavy breathing.
Supervisor Owen, you had your pen up first.
Yes. Okay, on your vaccination and licensing clinics,
Yes.
do you do those like out in the community? You travel and put some of those on?
I think in the past year we did the majority of them at the actual shelter, but I think we did do 1 or 2 in the community.
Okay, so that's something that could really benefit, is getting more locations to hold those at.
Agreed.
Okay. And then you're involved, some of this funding you received was to help with the SPCA, which is kind of a high volume spay and neuter clinic. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're one of many partnerships. They actually have the veterinarian, so they requested the funding, and so that's one of many avenues in which we can use. But yes, they're one.
And then is there a way that you guys could, the animal control could actually put something like that on as well? Like so
In what
that
way?
there's multiple, because obviously the more animals in the county that are not spayed, the more we're producing.
Right.
And so it's really expensive. That's what I've heard time and time again. So there's a lot of stray cats and dogs that are out there. By getting more, is there another way that we can get more ambitious about offering spay and neuter, whether we need to get some more grants or funding, or what do we need to do to be able to hit the public and help where these are major issues?
So a part of what that grant funding does, it is for people in our community. They sign up and they go there. We are looking into ways to do like individual vouchers. And also a huge shout out to the local veterinary clinics. They've been tremendous at working with us, but a major issue is getting the appointment. So while we're going to build the program to be able to give out individual vouchers as needed, the issue that we will run into and have run into is getting an appointment for it. So I'm open and have been open, and in my communication with all people in the community, I'm open to using our clinic that we have as a resource. But again, the major thing is finding the doctor to come and do it there.
I had actually spoke with, I can't remember the name of the agency that is putting on the SPCA, there. Bringing in students from UC Davis or something along those lines might be beneficial to be able to get some of that here on like once a month or something where you can get not necessarily free, but at least low cost where people can afford it.
And that's what we're actively working with. I think her name is Jennifer Bennett. She is the director of shelter med programs, and we're working with her actively to figure out a way to make that happen.
Perfect. Thank you.
Supervisor Sabatier.
Director Wilkins, you and I spoke not too long ago. Thank you for coming in, taking a look at the department, and really doing a deep dive of what are some foundational changes that need to happen. I appreciated our conversation. You gave me hope for where we're going with the department, and want to fully support you in what you're doing. I know it's tough to talk about euthanasia. Everybody would love to see those numbers go down, but at the same time, we got to take care of our communities now, rather than say, sorry, but we have 600 animals that we need to find places for before we start doing more work in the community. And it's a tough balancing act, and fully support the direction you want to go. I know you're looking at the software, you're looking at your tools, and so just wanted to reiterate what I already told you in person. Really appreciated our conversation, appreciate your vision of where you want to take the department, appreciate that you're working with some of our local groups, such as the Pet Fix program that's happening. And so please continue to let us know how we can support your program and your department, but really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so we will open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the chambers that would like to make a comment about this presentation? Zoom? Okay, I see someone coming up, and then we'll go with Margot.
Julia Kerr, Upper Lake. Thank you, Supervisor Owen, for your interest, and Supervisor Sabatier. Thank you, Director, for being a breath of fresh air for Lake County and its overpopulated, unhoused pets. Thank you for contributing to the Pet Fix, which originated, I think now over a year ago, and helping Bruce and everybody else do what they're doing. You are making a positive mark in our community. Thank you. I really encourage you. I see that the euthanasia is almost at half of the intakes. That's pretty high. And I'm wondering how I can help you create a robust foster program to reduce the number of euthanasias. I'd be happy to reach out to you after today to give you my contact information. I think that the pet fix and serious large numbers of spay-neuter clinics that are affordable is key, but also a foster program, a very serious foster program. And I assume you're working with Becca Edwards over in Mendocino at their inland Mendocino shelter. She has done magic over there. I encourage you to talk to her.
But we'll do. And yes, you can reach out and we can connect. And
Thank you so
I'm
much.
open and willing to listen to anything.
Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, Margot, if you can unmute.
Thank you, Chair Crandall and Board and Director Wilkins. This is Margot Kambara. I have a couple questions. Director Wilkins, could you please comment on what Lake County is doing or has done in terms of the feline contraception vaccination? And this is less invasive and is a lower cost alternative to spay and neutering. Research has been published, and I have an article I can forward to you if you haven't seen this research. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Director Wilkins, do you want to comment on any of that, or?
At this time, we have not done much. I am lightly aware of the and what you're talking about. I have not done a deep dive into it, but again, as I said, I'm open to reading and learning more about anything, so you're more welcome to send that to our department.
All right. Are there any other comments on Zoom? All right, Donna?
Hello, Donna Mackwitz in Clear Lake Oaks. How much was the UC Davis grant? And my second question is, how many cat colony permits have been given? And I guess I have a third question. When you do suspect a house with multiple cats, how is that reported? Thank you very much.
I'll
Thank you
take
for
the
your question.
last
Go ahead.
question first. So most of that's reported through the community, and that's done either online or through a phone call to us, and then we go through the proper channels of investigating and taking the next steps. What was the first question?
Oh, wait, CAO?
Well, she knows the answer, so that's even better.
Go ahead.
120.
The UC Davis grant, $120,000.
Yes.
All right.
And we've been able to kind of work that to, it was originally made for $90,000 to be direct to spay neuter, but and then the rest for like tools and fees like that. But I've been given the permission to also use that in the direction of spay neuters if needed as well. So.
And Chair, I believe third question was the number of cat colony permits.
I don't have that information with me at this time, but if you reach out to me directly, we can do what we can and get that information to you.
All right. Go ahead, Supervisor Price.
I want to thank you for hitting the ground running. You did have a lot of support. A lot of this does go to CAO Parker. She was the interim director. The board set really clear direction on how we wanted this department run, and so both of you picked up those priorities and really took them to heart in our community. So thank you both for really implementing, seeing the needs and implementing what this board has been really wanting to achieve for quite some time. So thank you.
And while I will accept that, I will also have to say that, yes, it's being given to me directly, but I want everyone to know there's a staff of people that are doing the best
Yes.
they can to make it happen as well.
Thank you for mentioning that. You have incredible staff, so thank you.
Director, just real quick, how has the advisory committee been working so far?
We have not met yet.
Okay.
So that's on the agenda to figure out the proper way to make that happen and start hitting the ground running with that.
All right. Thank you. If there's not any questions or other questions, thank you again for your presentation here. We appreciate it, and the work that you're doing.
Thank
as
you.
Well. Mhm.
I would like to work with you to put on a vaccine and microchipping and licensing clinic down in District 1. We're quite a ways away for the spring or something, if possible.
Open to it. Let's do it.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. We will move on to our next presentation.